Welcome to The Sovereign Game by MJJ Taylor. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe for more. And also, check out our other videos. Chapter 7, Divide and Direct. Unity is dangerous. Break it. Interpretation. Power fears unity. It trembles at the sight of people moving as one, because a united force is a force that cannot be bought, bent, or easily broken. That's why the masters of power throughout history have understood this quiet law. If you cannot destroy a threat outright, you divide it. And once you divide it, you can direct each piece wherever you wish. Division doesn't always come from war. It can come from whispers, from rules, from incentives that pit one ambition against another. People naturally compete for resources, validation, status, survival. Divide and direct is about knowing where to place your fingers in the cracks of human nature. Not to break people for the sake of cruelty, but to stop them from becoming a wall that stands against you. This chapter is about influence before conflict. It's about understanding that humans rarely act as a single will unless someone lets them. If you can ensure that loyalties are scattered, rivalries are sharpened, and every faction sees you as a necessary ally or a lesser enemy, you can control vast, volatile fields of power without lifting a sword. Divide and direct is the quiet art of shaping human currents, turning potential threats into pieces too busy, too suspicious of each other, or too dependent on you to ever unite against you. This isn't manipulation for its own sake. It's survival dressed as strategy. The sovereign doesn't fight mobs. The sovereign makes sure mobs never form. Historical example: the British Raj and the engineering of Indian division, 1858 to 1947. We don't rule India, we rule the divisions of India, comment attributed to British colonial administrators. When the British East India Company first laid its hands on the Indian subcontinent, they faced a seemingly impossible challenge, a land of immense size teeming with rulers, religions, languages, and cultures far older than their empire. To rule by force alone was suicide, so they ruled by division. The British perfected divide and rule, amplifying existing fractures between Hindus and Muslims, high castes and low princes and peasants. They played kings against each other, offering favors to one while threatening another. They reshaped laws and borders to inflame rivalry, ensured each community feared the others more than they feared colonial rule. Even their armies were divided by caste and creed, designed to be incapable of unified rebellion. For nearly 90 years, this strategy allowed a few thousand foreigners to dominate millions. The power of the Raj did not lie solely in its soldiers or cannons. It lay in its mastery of human fault lines, ensuring no coalition could rise strong enough to push them out. Division wasn't an accident of empire, it was its engine. Modern example: social media algorithms and the fragmentation of consensus. If you're not paying for the product, you're the product. Tech industry adage. The 21st century brought a different empire, the empire of platforms. Social media promised connection, a global town square. But beneath the surface, algorithms quietly learned a truth as old as politics itself. A divided audience is more profitable than a united one. Algorithms began to segment humanity into tribes. News feeds were tailored to inflame certain beliefs, provoke certain fears, amplify anger, outrage, and rivalry. People stopped seeing one shared reality and started living in separate worlds. Each tribe thought the others were enemies. Each group fought endlessly for attention, validation, dominance in their own corner of the web. Tech companies didn't just witness this, they directed it, shaping the currents of thought for profit and power. The result? Nations fractured, conversations turned to war, and the idea of unity became almost unthinkable. This wasn't brute censorship. It was a quiet manipulation of connections and incentives, ensuring everyone was divided enough to stay online, fighting, consuming, never truly questioning the hand that wrote the code. Folktale: The Three Shepherds, Morocco, 11th century. Long ago, three shepherds grazed their flocks on the same hillside. Each wanted the best grass. Each feared losing ground to the others. A passing merchant saw their constant arguments and made a simple offer. "Let me mark the land for you. You'll each have a piece and I'll keep the peace." Grateful, the shepherds agreed. But the merchant placed the boundaries just close enough to cause rivalry. He told each shepherd a different story about how the others had cheated them. Soon they came to him not just for peace, but for water, wool prices, even guards to protect their flocks from each other. In time, the shepherds no longer owned their hillside. The merchant owned it all, and they fought over scraps, believing they needed him. The tale lived on as a warning. Division without direction leaves you powerless. But when someone else directs it, you may never notice your leash until it's too late. Tactical placement. Power often isn't about defeating opponents. It's about making sure they never stand shoulder to shoulder against you. In every group, cracks already exist. Ambitions collide, trust is brittle, pride is fragile. The sovereign doesn't invent these fractures. They see them before others do, widen them subtly, and then offer themselves as the only safe bridge between divided forces. Divide quietly. Never let it feel like you're doing. Let rivals believe their distrust of each other is natural, inevitable. Give each piece just enough hope, just enough fear to keep their eyes on one another, not on you. Create channels where they must compete for your attention, your resources, your favor, making you the silent kingmaker of their fates. But division alone is dangerous. Unchecked, it can burn everything. So you direct. You offer goals that keep fractured groups busy, but never united. You place yourself as the arbitrator, the solution, the necessary center of gravity. The sovereign doesn't crush all alliances. They decide which alliances can never form and which depend entirely on their hand to survive. Apply this in relationships. When tension arises, guide it into conversation you can control instead of letting resentment build against you. Leadership. Shape competition to keep teams sharp, but ensure all victories pull toward your greater vision. Manipulation. Prevent rivals from uniting by keeping them focused on fighting each other or on winning your approval. Friendship. In group dynamics, be the balancing force everyone turns to, ensuring no one bonds strongly enough to move against you. Reversal. Divide too deeply and you breed chaos that consumes you. Push rivalries too far and you become the common enemy everyone unites to destroy. Power thrives in tension, not open war. The art is to fracture just enough, to steer just enough, that every path, even of those who dislike you, winds back to your control. Power principles. A divided field rarely threatens a sovereign power. Division is useless without direction. Chaos burns kings and pawns alike. Subtle influence beats open interference. Let others believe division is natural. The hand that directs rivalry becomes the one everyone must obey. Power is not only taken from others, it's built from the fractures between them. Closing thoughts. Power does not only live in crowns or titles, it lives in the spaces between people. In alliances unbroken, power can rise against you. In fractures unmanaged, power can explode and destroy everything. But in divisions shaped by your hand, power is soft clay you can mold at will. The British Raj turned a vast and ancient land into a manageable empire by splintering it. Modern algorithms divide the world into warring tribes, not for truth, but for control. A clever merchant once owned a hillside not by force, but by quietly turning 3 shepherds against each other until they begged him to lead. Learn this. Unity is the one thing that can crush you, and it rarely forms by accident. But if you can learn to see fractures before anyone else, to stir just enough rivalry to prevent alliance, to guide divided forces back toward you as the only center of balance, you'll never again fear mobs or coalitions. You won't just survive politics, you'll own it. This is not about destroying people. It's about controlling the map of human connections before someone else does. Divide wisely, direct decisively, rule without a war you never had to fight.